Welcome to Airborne from Whitman Regional Airport. It's Oshkosh 2022, and I'm your host, Jim Campbell. Nope, Holland Lee isn't here right now. She will be back, but you're stuck with me. Coming up today on this episode of Airborne, WomenVenture 2022 is here. TL Aircraft has an accomplished product line of composite sport aircraft, and Enstrom is back, and their future looks good. These stories and more are coming up on this AirVenture 2022 special edition of Airborne Unlimited. It's time for WomenVenture 2022. While women make up a small percentage of the aviation population, EAA, WAI, the 99s, and others are looking to change all that for the better.
So many amazing women and learn that really as a girl there are opportunities that many people will try and stop me from, but give me ways of trying to get past some of those obstacles with help and learn that we're not alone.
The best part for me about flying is that it's the most awesome, liberating experience, and it's cool because it challenges me every time on every flight to be my best.
Well, I want to be a pilot when I grow up. I'm getting a little bit of stick time in my dad's RV-14, so I just really like flying because it's like exhilarating and it's really fun.
I'm in my 45th year of flying, and I don't know anything that gives me as much pleasure as being in the area.
Well, I fly an RV6 and I fly a Fairchild 24W. Oh, I've been flying since 1979, and I love to meet other women pilots.
A pit special for about 15 years, and I competed in aerobatics, and that was just a blast. I really enjoyed it. It improves your flying skills, and it's just too much fun. If I can do it, anybody can do it.
TL Aircraft is showing a widely varied line of sport aircraft, high wing, low wing, tandem, side-by-side, you name it, and there's even a small turboprop in the works.
We're here with Trey and Nicholas from TL Sport Aircraft and talking about their booth at AirVenture 2022. So, Trey, what did you bring to show the people today?
So, we brought 3 aircraft to Oshkosh 22. We have the Sirius that you see behind us here. That's our high wing. We have the Stream, the experimental Stream, and we have the Sting S4. It's another LSA on the other side of the booth.
How's the reception been?
So far the reception's been great. The Sirius right now is probably getting the most of the attention. The Stream is the sleek, attractive aircraft that kind of pulls them into the booth. And then with the Sting S4 on the other side, attracts a lot of pilots that want something that's in the LSA category, but very agile and with good visibility.
Now, you used to be known as TL Ultralight. You're now going by TL Sport Aircraft. Could you tell me about that change?
Yes, so TL Ultralight has a long history in the USA. First introduced into the U.S. market in 2003 with the Sting Sport, later in 2010 with the Sirius, and then an iteration of the Sting became the S4 in 2014. We're now rebranding in the U.S. as TL Sport Aircraft to try and reach a broader base of light sport aircraft enthusiasts.
Now, another part of your expansion into the American market is the building of some new facilities across the states. Could you tell me about that?
So it's important. One of the hallmarks of our company is good product support and service after the sale. And so it is integral and key in the U.S. marketplace to have dealerships that a customer can, one, purchase an aircraft at and go to for service or parts after the sale to maintain their aircraft.
Could you elaborate on the factory production timeline?
Yes, so one of the things that we're very proud of is our turnaround time to manufacture each airplane custom for each client. Right now our turnaround time, it's always been ahead in the industry. Right now our current turnaround time for the LSAs are about 5 months. For the Sirius and for the Sting, the turnaround time for our 2 experimental aircraft and our new Sparker is about 8 to 10 months.
Enstrom Helicopter is back, and with highly motivated new ownership, The venerable piston and turbine helicopter manufacturer is putting tough times behind them and looking forward to the future.
Congratulations on your new acquisition, Chuck.
Well, thank you, Rex. Happy to be here and happy to be the new owner of Enstrom.
From a helicopter perspective, what enticed you to come looking for Enstrom as a possible option for ownership?
Well, I heard they had filed bankruptcy, and yet they were a phenomenal company. Started in 1957, made over 1,100 helicopters. They've sold them to foreign military, VIP, a lot of them are used in training, that sort of thing. I learned myself in a 280, and then eventually I bought a 480. And when the company became available, I knew how good the employees were. I knew it's the safest helicopter in the world. If you look at the safety records, we're really, really safe. And I just knew there was an opportunity to improve the company and restore it and take it on to the next level.
You'd gotten the helicopter flying bug a little later in life than some of us, but you really had a passion for it, so you did start in Enstrom on day one?
I did. I had a friend that flew into a fly-in in Fort Wayne, Indiana at Smith Field, and I said, how cool is that? He flew in a 480B, and I said, that is awesome. He said, well, you should do it. And I said, I couldn't even spell helicopter back then. 15 years later now, I have a big charter operation and was able to buy Enstrom, and so I'm all about helicopters now.
So in coming in, what are some of the things you see in the vision for the next, say, 3, 5, 10 years down the road for Enstrom?
Well, immediately we have to start building parts, which we've done that. We have about 70 employees back at our factory in Menominee, Michigan, and we're filling all the back orders. And when they were out of business for about 6 months, a lot of back orders came in. So we're fulfilling those, we're building parts. That will, once we start building parts, that'll allow us to start building helicopters later this fall. So our goal is to get some helicopters built. And by HAI next year, we hope to have a little bit more modernized helicopter with a glass panel, and that's what we'll do going forward. And for the next couple of years, we're just going to build helicopters. There's a big demand to have a helicopter like this.
And when we come back, ANN gets to talk to Helicopter Association International Chief Jim Viola.
Unbridled passion, unequaled performance, unlimited possibilities.
Hartzell Aviation, you are cleared for takeoff.
Introducing Hartzell Aviation, leading general aviation companies united by the Hartzell guiding principle of built on honor, a commitment to uphold the highest standards in quality, performance, and support. Hartzell Propeller, Hartzell Engine Tech, Hartzell Aerospace Welding. We are Hartzell Aviation.
Now boarding at hartzellaviation.com.
Welcome back to Airborne Unlimited, coming to you from EAA's AirVenture 2022 at the Whitman Regional Airport in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. If you've seen something cool, you gotta let us know. And more important, you gotta let everybody else know. Use hashtag OSH22COOL, OSH22COOL, and let us know what's cool about Oshkosh, as if there isn't enough. ANN's Rex Alexander caught up with HAI boss Jim Viola to talk all things rotorcraft. HAI has a demanding role these days with the explosion of a new generation of rotorcraft.
So Jim, I understand we have a safety event coming up in October, and it's a collaboration between HAI, the Vertical Aviation Safety Team, and the FAA. What can you tell me about the event?
Well, it's great. I'm glad you brought it up. It's October 4th through 6th. It's in Hurst, Texas. And the whole purpose of the event is to make sure that not only are we trying to be safe today, but we want to be safe in the future with these new vehicles that are coming on board. You know, people call them advanced air mobility, they call them urban air mobility, but helicopters have been doing it for 50 years. And so we're trying to bring that group together to help reinforce the message and also understand with the new folks coming on board that we're there for them.
So my understanding is you have 3 days, but you also got it split up on day 2 where you have operations, you have maintenance, and you also have advanced air mobility. It's all 3 separate tracks.
Yes, that's correct. And those are the intended audience, and we want to make sure it's not just operators, but the maintainers as well. Maintaining is important, and we want to make sure that with those 3 areas, we think we'll cover the crowd that we need there.
And it's not just a U.S. event. This is a global event. Is that correct?
Right. So the International Helicopter Safety Team is now the Vertical Aviation Safety Team to make sure it's all-encompassing and that we're ready for the AAM of the future.
Fantastic. And you're here at Oshkosh. HAI Helicopter Association has a booth. Where can people come find you here on the grounds?
Booth 362 at Oshkosh, if this is live. And yeah, we look forward to it. You know, it's the personal private owner that, you know, that accident rate needs to come down. And so we're going to do that outreach while we're here. So if you're here at Oshkosh, please come by.
AeroSys has an interesting way to tackle today's checklist with a computerized twist, but you have to talk to Goose first.
Physically, what is Goose?
Oh, so physically it's kind of hard to tell. It's just a box. That's all it is physically. But it actually is much more than. So it's a lot of AI stuff involved, and we have a digital co-pilot, we call it. It's a voice assistant for single pilots out there who really want to bring the multi-crew experience and multi-crew safety concepts in single pilot aviation, and that starts with a Cessna 120.
All right, so walk me through it. I'm a single pilot in my Cessna, and I call out to Goose. What would I say, and how would it respond?
So you would call him Goose. So it'd be like imagining being on a short final, having crosswind, maybe turbulences, you don't know the airport, and you want to have the final checklist. You'd be like, Goose, start final checklist. And Goose would be like, ATC clearance on board. And you just tick off the boxes, say, yeah, check. Then he might be like, landing gear down on green. And they're like, oh, I haven't done that. All right. We're all set now. And so you would just go through it like you would expect it from your human co-pilot. So you would expect a human co-pilot to read out the checklist and wait for you to respond. Goose does the same thing.
Now, something I thought was really interesting about your presentation was that it can interpret the pilot's emotions and vocal inflections and learn from that. Could you elaborate on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we do is we have a system that is tailored to the pilot, and within the first 10, 15, 20 hours it really learns how the pilot interacts with it, and so it can set a norm. So Goose knows what's normal for you, and my Goose knows what's normal for me. So as soon as I deviate from my normal, it will detect that, and it detects emotional undertones, and as soon as they overshoot certain thresholds, that is a sign for stress, and then if they undershoot a certain area, that might be a sign for fatigue. And so we can detect fairly confident whether the pilot is fatigued or stressed or might even have hypoxia. And so we use that in order to adjust the workload that the pilot has to do, and then Goose obviously gives suggestions on where to land or make a pause in order to maintain a safe flight after it.
Well, I'm certainly excited to see how it goes. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Okay, we're warning you. Prepare for cuteness overload. I mean extreme cuteness overload. A&M proudly presents the Aviators of Tomorrow with this year's rendition of the Kiddie Pedal Plane Parade. And after the break, we're going to be coming back with part 3 of our annual interview series with none other than Jack Pelton, HAI Boss Extraordinaire. Got a lot to say. It's going to be very cool. You're watching Airborne Unlimited on Aero-TV.
Throughout the globe, Piper Aircraft has hand-selected the very best in company representation, service, and support. From first inquiry to acquisition to product support, Piper Aircraft ownership is seamless and worry-free. Piper Aircraft authorized dealers, factory trained, factory connected.
Welcome to Rotorfly. We create high-end flight controls, premium flight panels, and affordable certified flight simulators. From the user at home, the enthusiast, up to the most professional flight schools and anyone in between. Check out our complete portfolio from the Yoko to Yo up to turnkey personalized solutions here on the website, and contact us for any further information.
Every year before AirVenture officially begins, we sit down with EAA CEO Jack Pelton and discuss the week ahead, as well as the year we've just experienced. In our third segment with Jack, we dive into some subjects that have been brought up a lot by ANN readers, the state of Mosaic, the FAA, and a number of related concerns. Everybody is coming to Oshkosh from the sport aviation community with one word in mind.
Mosaic?
Mosaic.
I'm glad you brought that up. That's on our advocacy priorities. Mosaic is number one.
Okay.
The leaded fuel initiative, getting the lead out of the fuel initiative is number two. And then trying to expand basic med is number three. Mosaic, we've made really good progress. There's been a lot of people in the FAA working on it, creating the actual rulemaking. We've been at the table with them in defining what that would be, along with other people from the industry. Right now, with all this stuff that's changed in the FAA, things have just kind of stalled. It's not dead, but it has slowed down because they're waiting for the new leadership to embrace it and say that they want to move it forward. The prior administrator and the prior head of certification all publicly had said, I'm behind Mosaic and we're going to make this happen, and we're to get some notice of proposed rulemaking out at the end of this year. It's going to be a push to get it by the end of this year. The working level, they all are still active. They've continued to share with us what they're working on, and we still continue to iterate. And we just got to get this thing done. So there's going to be a big push by us with the FAA while they're here this week, along with DOT. The assistant, she has a lot of issues that she's interested in, which of course in this administration, the environment's the big one. We're really going to impress upon her that Mosaic really provides them the ability for LSAs to go electric, because there's no path to certify them currently. So we have a lot of things that can, I think, help check the boxes for what meets their interest levels to help get some support in pushing it through. But we got our work cut out this week. One of the nuances of this, and it's how the sausage is made back in Washington, is getting proposed rulemaking up to a priority to where you'll actually get it in the system and going is based on whatever the administration's agenda is, and then what the FAA leadership's agenda is. It was tied initially to the UAS movement in getting new pilots into the UAS and some of the certification. What we want to be able to ensure that if it doesn't stay tied to it, it can still go forward. Because there's been some changes, in the UAS stuff with, went from its own standalone certification to now they're saying it's going to follow the fixed wing and the vertical lift capabilities, and it's really put a monkey wrench into what everybody's been doing. And I don't want that to hold us back on what we're trying to do. But basically it's still going to be increase the LSA sport pilot definition to enhance. I don't want to just go out and say pick a new weight limit, because they don't like that. They don't like the idea of an arbitrary weight limit, and they don't like the LSA arbitrary weight limit. So it's going to be performance based. So safety records, performance, handling characteristics, those kind of things of what you would feel comfortable in putting a sport pilot licensed individual into the airplane. And that has moved the performance well up into the 172 and better category of airplanes. With their history, it only makes absolute sense. And so it's still moving that direction. A lot of ability then for LSA airplanes to also serve the flight training market as EAB airplanes, and so that's in there. And we think part of our push on that this week will be when they talk about pilot shortages is you got to have airplanes to train pilots in, and here's a faster path to getting lower cost airplanes into the flight training market and help that along.
You mentioned a priority item of expansion of basic med. Mm-hmm. In what way?
So, Jim, I was at Tarkio at Sam Graves Air Show 2 weeks ago. We had some of the key elected officials from both sides of the aisle who are on the Aviation House subcommittees, and they gave each one of us a chance to talk about what our priorities were. And I think I kind of surprised the rest of my association friends in bringing up,
again?
yeah, saying, look, we've had basic med now for, I forget how many years it's been, I think it's over 7. And the track record and safety has been perfect. There's about 75,000 people participating. Why do we have a third-class medical? That should just go away. And it resonated with all of them. And, at the time you're feeling good that, they took notes and they talked about it. A week later, they held a committee meeting where I did not attend, but the panelists were the other associations. I was a little busy mowing grass here. And so it was in D.C. No one had covered it, and one of the congressmen that was at that meeting brought it up and said, hey, what about basic med? You guys didn't mention that. And it got back on the agenda again. So
there you go.
We're working it.
You rebel rouser, you.
No, just like, come on, guys, this stuff's easy. Let's just get it done.
There you go.
So I think it's important.
And tomorrow, we continue our chat with Jack about the problems sport and general aviation still face and what we might do about it all.
Nowhere in the FAA reauthorization bill has general aviation actually been spelled out.
Thanks for watching, and be sure to come back for another episode tomorrow, right from Whitman Field, Aviation Center of the Universe. We'll be back with day 4 of our coverage. And don't forget that 0900, we've got our morning brief. It'll be set up for 0900 Central Time tomorrow. We will see you then.